We're gonna jump into the Denver Nuggets now because they have made some crazy moves too, some good moves for their squad. They traded for Cam Johnson. They traded away Michael Porter Jr. for Cam Johnson. In my opinion, is kind of like the same guy in a sense, maybe a little bit younger. Traded for Jonas Valanciunas. I think that's a great backup center for them, and then signed Tim Hardaway Jr. and Bruce Brown. With those signings right there, I know in your opinion you think that they're number one in NBA free agency so far, and we just want to know why is that.
Well, I mean, you can look at Houston, for example, like you said, and the players they brought in, obviously KD, the best player amongst all these players and stuff like that. But I think for what that team needed, this is just such a good rebuild in a quick way. I like Michael Porter Jr., but he clearly took a step back with the injuries and things like that. I'm not saying his career is over. He could easily go right back to his value he was the year before, but he was slowing them down. And I know they had the injury to Murray half the year on off and stuff like that. So that was another thing. And then the coaching change going into the last week of the season. And they still, went to game 7 with OKC. And if Gordon wasn't hurt, not to say that, he did play, but it was clear he was limited by that. I'm not saying they were going to win, kind of like the Halliburton thing, but at the end of the day, who knows, right? So I do think going back to Bruce Brown, the guy that should have never let go, because I don't think Thrawn, you know, who's there now, brings enough defense, physicality wise. Um, I just like all these pickups. Like Valanciunas is a great backup center. He could start on most teams. I think Bruce Brown adds his minutes, like I just said, for 3 and D. Cam Johnson is a more consistent shooter than what you were getting at the moment from Michael Porter. And you don't need him to also be a super influential defensive player since you still have Aaron Gordon. Tim Hardaway, probably the most streakiest player in the last 20 years, but still another little lightning bug type player they can bring off the bench. I just don't think this was a team that needed all that much, and yet they made 4 pretty good signings or moves, let's call it. So I like that. If they would have made just 2 of those moves, I would have been like, oh, it's pretty good. But to go 4 and really shore up the bench around Jokic there is going to help a lot. And I don't know. They did more than I thought they would do. So it's a surprising, nice, good thing. So I have them up top right now because I like the final product there right now today more than I like Houston today. But who knows? We got a whole season to work together, so we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah. So for me, the big thing for me with these two trades and these two signings, is what you mentioned when it comes to the bench. I feel like that's a problem that they really had last season. They didn't really have a consistent bench that can help them score, that can help them play make, or even play defense. Right? You bring in Jonas Valanciunas, he's going to play some defense. Some people are going to try to drive to the rim and dunk or lay it up, and he's going to have that rim protection there, and he's going to be able to get those boards. And teams are not going to get a lot of second chance points as much as they were last season against the Nuggets. Trading for Cam Johnson, I think it's a little bit more of an upgrade than MPJ, just because of the fact MPJ is a little bit more injury prone, in my opinion. And when you see him play, if he's not really in tune in the game or he's not really having a good game, he starts to lack off and he starts to not play as hard with so much effort as he is when he's having a great shooting night and he's grabbing all the boards and he's dunking on people and whatnot. With Cam Johnson, when you watch him play, I don't really see him quit at any moment in part of the game. If he's in the game, he's giving you 110%, and he can shoot the three ball just as well as MPJ. Maybe MPJ is a little bit better at shooting the three, but he can still shoot the ball. And I like the way that he plays defense. He plays with tenacity and grit, and he's all over the floor. No matter what, he's going to give you 110% effort, and I really like that from Cam Johnson. I think that was a good trade for them. Signing Tim Hardaway Jr. and PJ gets shot out the door, so the 3-point goes down, but they bring in Cam Johnson, obviously, and now another shooter, Tim Hardaway Jr., that he can put up 3-pointers a game, which is great for their offense. Spread the floor a little bit more where you got Jokic on the floor. You got Jamal Murray doing his thing and trying to get with the pick and roll and all that. You bring back Bruce Brown, and he's a part of that championship team, and he was doing work off the bench. He was actually being the playmaker all over the floor. He was being the facilitator. He was driving in when he needed to. He was showing that he can score. He can grab boards. Sometimes he was even dropping triple doubles. If you look at the stats of when that championship year that they had. So I think bringing in Bruce Brown, signing in Tim Hardaway Jr. and trading for those two other players, I think it was good moves for the Nuggets as well. I got them second behind Houston in NBA free agency so far, but like you said, it's a whole season. You got to see how they play together. But I think just for the Denver Nuggets, for sure, the good moves.
Yeah, and Cam Johnson was actually one of the top 3-point percentage shooters last season, and that was on a team that had nobody there. So the shots he was getting in Brooklyn were probably not poor quality shots, but more heavily defended. You know, you're not helping over to other guys on that team since they're pretty bare overall on the roster. It's like the shots he's going to get in Denver with Jokic passing, and you're worrying about Murray off the screens, and whether it's Braun or Brown as the opposite side of the wing, you know, he's going to get way better looks. So
Yeah.
I like them. I already like them overall, but I hear you on Houston too.